So how do you manage to find these models? What is your secret?
I mean, if there was a secret, I wouldn't tell you.
But the audience?
Yeah, of course. I always looked also for whole collections that were sold. And
why that? Why go
because,
for whole collections instead of single models?
Because sometimes you would find models in the pictures that aren't described anywhere. For me, the main point of collecting is the search for it, because that's where the fun is.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Bongocast, the community talk, where I don't just have a really special guest, but actually a close friend of mine. I'm talking about Johannes, Modelairportvienna, or Vienna North, as you might know him on Instagram. He visited me a little while ago, and we took the opportunity to record an episode of this podcast in the Bongo Planes headquarters, where we had I think really interesting talk about the whole topic of collecting, when to get models, when perhaps to wait, having the patience, and all the tricks and tips that we could give someone who's perhaps starting out to collect, but of course also seasoned collectors. And the result of that you can of course see or listen to in just a second. But before we jump into that, I would like to remind you that of course if you have a topic that you would like to see discussed here on the podcast, or if you have a topic that you're really burning for yourself and would like to become a guest here on the podcast, then you can do so by simply commenting down below or sending me an email. All right, so I am now very honored to have Vienna North. I guess that's your alias on Instagram, but I also know you as Joe. Here in the Bongo Planes headquarters. I believe you are only the second guest on camera here in the headquarters, and the first on the podcast. Since you're visiting me, I thought let's do the podcast here. And enjoy a better image and on audio than when we do it over the internet. Now, I know you a couple of years now, and I know you have a lovely setup based on a fictional airport around Vienna.
Yeah.
What is a little bit unusual with that setup is that you have both a present-day setup and a nostalgia, a retro setup, so to say.
Yeah.
And then you have also created a South England setup.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe let's start with your Vienna setup. What was the idea behind having this present day and the retro setup?
So basically the main idea was to, as I think every collector who starts collecting model planes wants to have an own airport, and most of them of course also want it to be where they live, so they want to have the same models which they see every day at the airport they live nearby, and they want to also imagine that there would be an airport next to where they live. So that was basically the original idea. And after I found a good ground
you use a ground foil, no?
A ground foil, yeah. I basically started without hesitation. So yeah, it was just the start to bring this first idea to life. And after that, I mean, there were always new ideas coming to my mind to take this airport and this whole project of collecting model planes to a new level, and basically bring new ideas into this hobby.
So how did you then, so you started up with a present day setup more or less?
Yeah.
And then you also got to make a retro setup? How did that idea come about?
So as I said, it was one of these ideas that came up after many other ideas, but it was a combination with the fact that as I was already collecting my planes for the present day airport, I just love the models and airplanes from the past. So I was always collecting the planes from the present day, but also those from the past. And firstly, I just adopted it and used them at the present day airport, but after some time I thought, I mean, it's special, it's different to have also old aircraft as well as new aircraft on the same airport. But I thought it's kind of crazy, or
it's not so realistic.
Yeah. Which is also a good point to consider when you're making a model airport. So then I came up with the idea to have an own airport for the old aircraft from the past years. So yeah, luckily I found the diorama foil from Herpa with their I think it's a 1960s or early 70s airport, and yeah, that's how this started. So, and I definitely don't regret it, because there are so many great models to use for that project. So yeah, it's just was a great idea.
Then I know you spent a little bit of time living in England.
Yeah.
And around that time, you then actually also started making your little South England. Is it based in Southampton or just southern England?
Yeah, it's a mixture of. There's an interesting story behind that. Before I moved to England, I already considered to make a third airport, which I originally thought to be on a fictional island in the Mediterranean, but the project just didn't come around. So yeah, I just left it in my head and nothing happened until I moved to England. Then I had time and also the motivation for doing that, and so I already had the layout from the island airport and just used it for the England airport.
And I guess some of the models could actually have worked for both setups, because I mean, if you have a lot of charter traffic.
Yeah. Only the regional ones, I mean, there are custom models like the Logan Air or Blue Island or Ringley Air Service. Those are perfectly for this specific airport, but the other ones would perfectly work for the island airport as well. Yeah. So
since we are talking custom models and your collection, normally when I do this podcast, I like to start off with my guests talking a little bit about their accounts, to introduce them to the audience. And with you, I actually want to talk about collecting as the main topic, because I think you have a very, very interesting collection. For me, when I'm just collecting, present day stuff and whatever works with the few projects that I have, but I don't really consider it to be a special collection. I mean, or no, I have a few models here and there, because also collecting over many years, you do pick up some models that perhaps aren't super rare, but just don't circulate as much, so they gain some value in that sense. And of course, once in a while you get lucky. But every time I talk with you or think about your collection, you always seem to have like these models, not custom models, although you do seem to get more and more of them as well as many others at the moment. But when I think about your collection, you always seem to have some of those models that are not just rare, but oftentimes seemingly no one has ever heard about. So, what is your secret to collecting? How have you managed to get? Because I mean, nowadays,
Yeah.
okay, I would have probably have described it as class over mass, your collection, but you do have, I think, about 800 models by
Around
now. So
800,
it is
yeah.
also a rather big collection, but
Yeah,
still,
that's right.
it is comprised of many really rare aircraft. So how do you manage to find these models? What is your secret?
I mean, if there was a secret, I wouldn't tell you.
But the audience.
Yeah, of course. So, no, it's a mixture of a lot of things. I think I try to name them. It's, of course, luck, it's patience, it's a lot of knowledge, not only of models themselves, but of the aviation industry as a whole, because if you don't know that this aircraft exists, how would you find that model? So yeah, that's it basically, and
So you've
and
managed.
determination to find models that at first you wouldn't think that they have been made, but then you find them.
So you've really managed to. I mean, you work in aviation. You are an avid spotter. If anyone wants to see really cool spotter images, again, also all these airlines that we just don't get otherwise, don't see, and suddenly they are there. At least for Joe, he has a very cool spotter account as well. You can find a link to that in the video description below. Can highly recommend it.
Thank you.
So you have basically managed to combine the passion you have for aviation, your professional, your personal passion for it, and then comprise that into a really awesome scale 500 collection. But let's talk about, I mean, yes, there's of course always a certain degree of luck, being at the right time, at the right place when a model suddenly pops up either at a fair or in the internet. But still, I think there's more to it than just luck and knowledge. I mean, you don't just buy any model, and you also, if you find a specific
That's
model,
right,
you don't always buy it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are many models that are circulating around at certain websites and shops, but for some models, you either have to wait to get the right price, because I think it's not the main goal if you're collecting models, that you buy everything you find at any price. And the other point is that you don't buy any model you find in any condition. So I've the best model, or the best example I can think of now is the Austrian A340-300 in the Vienna Philharmonics livery.
That's made by Starjets or Herpa? By Herpa, okay.
By Herpa. And I think it's one of the coolest liveries ever made, but
A true Austrian speaking here.
yeah, of course. And I found it the first time I found it, I think it was 3 or 4 months after I really started collecting model airplanes. It was in a whole collection with, I think, 90 or 100 other planes. And I couldn't afford it back then. And the seller didn't want to sell one of them individually. Yes, so that was the first time I saw it. Then there was a second time. I think I found it for 200 euros or something.
Oh my God. And that's like, what, 10 years ago?
I think now it's 15.
200 euros?
No, the model is now 15 years old.
Sure,
and
but
I
when
found it around 8 years ago, yeah.
I mean, I know eBay prices are crazy today, but for that time, 200 euros for an A340 from Herpa Wings, that's insane.
Yeah, it is, I know.
Yeah, so good you didn't go for that.
No, for that I didn't go. So, and the third time I found it, it was in very bad condition. And yeah, I think it was around 80 or 90 euros, but it was there was no reason to buy it. So yeah, and then the fourth time I found it also for quite high price, unfortunately, but then I just
But less than before?
went for, yeah.
Okay, so at least that. And in better condition?
Yeah, it was almost perfect. I mean, there were, I think, one little scratch, but you can't really see it in the pictures. So yeah, yeah, that's
So that's the art of the deal, we could call it. So don't just go for any offer you find, and we have like this nice expression, I think, in Danish, having a bit of ice in your stomach.
Okay.
So be patient.
Yeah,
I guess
of
you
course.
said with the first time you had this maybe 100 aircraft, probably many of them that you didn't really want to have, but this one
Yeah.
that you really wanted to have, but you stayed cool and didn't go for it. You knew
Yeah.
you couldn't really afford it, and it wasn't the right offer for you, so you waited.
Yeah.
And took a few turns. I mean, technically, I'm still searching for a DHL A300. That's a model
Yeah.
that I've been looking for many years. It's really
That's another great example. I
Yeah.
also looked for that around 8 years or 10 years, and I was looking for it and saw it for, I don't know, somewhere around 80 to 120 euros always, and I thought, no, that's not worth it. And then I found it for 60 euros, which is still very high, but for this specific model, it's worth it. So yeah, it's
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I've been technically been looking for it for quite a long time, and I mean, I have found it every now and then, but it was the same thing. Like, it was for me just not worth that much money, because it's not really an unusual model in any way. It's an A300 with the DHL livery. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
They still fly around, and they will still be flying around for quite a while. But still, I mean, it's not remarkable in any way other than this combination. Another example, for example, that I have is the Tarom A318. That's actually an example where I've been waiting for a long time, and now I don't want it anymore.
Oh, okay.
I wanted it for a long time because I like the A318. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And I actually did also find it every now and then, but it was never at the highest on my priority list.
Yeah.
So I bought other models, and then at some point it started really getting difficult to find. And when I found it, it was just too expensive. So I didn't want to spend it. And I mean, then one day the news came, they had stopped using the aircraft at Tarom, and so like, okay, but I want to have present day models, current models. So now I don't need it really. And if I find it, maybe I get it, but only if it's like a really good price.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you have many other examples where you have been.
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example is also a Tarom model, the 737-700 in the retro livery.
Yeah, very nice model.
I just recently found this one, and I also have been looking for it since I started collecting. And it's, as you said before, it's a perfect example for patience, because I found it at a eBay shop of a good friend, who has been selling models over the last 5 to 6 years, and he only offered some of his models from time to time, and it was never there, and I thought, okay, now I have everything I want from his collection, which is old, and then after some time, it just appered. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to wait. And
I mean, I know. I mean, now we are sitting here and trying to talk about that. That probably the most important thing is, when you want to build up your collection, is to have patience.
Yeah.
And really also having the cool to say no to a model that you really want to have. But of course, if you're just starting out and you're super enthusiastic and you want to grow your collection, and it can be really hard as a beginner to make this determination that no, I am very, very enthusiastic about this model, but it is actually not worth going for it now. Have you buyer's remorse when you look back at the beginning, when you started your collection? Maybe did some deals that when you think back to it now, because I know I have, where you maybe think, okay, I shouldn't have gone for that deal.
I mean, yeah, But that's a difficult topic because sometimes there are situations, or in this case models, where you just go for the deal and seal it and are happy that you've done it. And 2 weeks later, you find yourself in the same situation or find this model again in better conditions,
At a better price.
at a better price. It's just better. And then you think, oh, okay, I just should have waited, as we talked before. But I think that's not the right way to go, because sometimes you just have to rethink for a second or third time and then just go for it. Because if you don't take that chance, the other one wouldn't come. Oh,
Yeah.
So sometimes it's this way, sometimes you don't take the chance and there never comes a second chance.
True, you can never really know what comes next. I mean, that's true. You might have the deal of your life in front of you and you don't know it. And you think it is too expensive, but then you never find it again.
There is a good example for all of this. I think it was around 2019 or 2020. I can't remember which manufacturer made these models, but they were the Star Wars ANA models, the 777-300, the 777-200, and the 767-300. And
JC
there
wings.
there was
Before that.
there was a batch before that, but it was only plastic models.
Okay.
And they were really rare. And one day I just found them on the internet, and I thought, okay, when I don't buy them now, I will never see them again. They were really expensive, and when they arrived, half of the package was damaged. Luckily, only the package of the models.
Okay.
So the boxes were damaged, and the models themselves not. But yeah, basically after they arrived, I thought, okay, I shouldn't have done that, because they were really expensive and they're only plastic models. And
Yeah. So
I was really thinking about that. And then 3 years later, JC released them in much better quality, and then I regretted it even more. But at this time, when I saw them, I just thought there wouldn't be a second chance. So
for sure,
I can't miss it.
But I mean, that just proves that even the best of us, the most patient of us, and the luckiest of us, can sometimes make a bad deal.
Yeah,
but
of course.
You can, of course, never have the absolute certainty. So maybe going back to the start, it is indeed a combination of having the patience, but also a bit of luck, of course.
Yeah, of course. And another thing that came to my mind is I always looked also for whole collections that were sold. And
why that? Why go
because
for whole collections instead of single models?
Because sometimes you would find models in the pictures that aren't described anywhere, but because they just say, I sell my collection and I have 10 Lufthansa models and 10 United models and some others. And if you really look for one specific one, you wouldn't find it there. But then you maybe ask them, can I have this one model, and you can sell the other 30 models to another person, then you make a great deal. So that's one way. And the other way you can use this method is that if you can't afford the collection, you can also just look at the collection and see if there are any models you didn't know about. So I think, if I remind myself, I think around 20 models of my collections I just found like that, because I didn't know they existed before, and
then you found them in these collection
collections,
offers,
and
and then
either they were already sold or I couldn't afford it, and then I looked for it for some time and found it anywhere else.
So that's much of it buying on the internet. How is your experience when going to collectors' fairs? I mean, you've been to Amsterdam a few times, like me now. What's your experience with that? Is that somewhere where you have found some things that you perhaps didn't find otherwise?
That's just luck at those fairs, because you just can't know what the
will be
people
there
will offer. So, and you have to be fast, because when you're the first at the stand,
so come in the morning, don't come in the afternoon.
Of course. Yeah, that's the most important thing of those fairs. So yeah, the main point is just luck with those when you find models there. So yeah.
And then another aspect, and that's of course also somewhere where you've gone increasingly in recent months, years as well, with those models. I mean, you find models that nobody else seems to be able to find, because you then know the airline that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
But there are of course also plenty of airlines that we might know, but just have never been featured, and that's where you then go for custom models.
Yeah.
You've made quite a bit of experience with that as well, and completed your collection in a sense with that.
Yeah, of course.
So patience, luck, knowledge about aviation in general, knowing what is flying around in real world, and then trying to search for does this exist as a model, and if all that fails, custom models.
Custom models, yeah, that's the last way out.
But a good way.
So, yeah, of course.
Because also, I mean, that's a really big aspect of collecting is and something I always say when people ask me about, or should I go for this? It's like, yeah, sure, you can go for this model even if it's very expensive. But think about, if it reaches a certain price level, it might actually be cheaper just to get it as a custom model instead of buying the originally manufactured model. Because if the price, I would say at least if the price goes beyond 80 euros, or 100 euros.
Yeah.
From there,
that should
80
be the
euros
limit,
is probably the border, but if you are at 100 euros and above, you can most definitely get it cheaper as a custom model.
That's right. Especially nowadays, where there's so many people doing really great job with the custom models. But one thing I want to say about custom models, when you're talking about collecting, is that you really shouldn't use custom models as your only source, and also not as the first source when you can't find the model or missed it or whatever, because I think then it gets really expensive really fast when you just know, okay, I can't afford this model or I can't find it, so I just buy another custom model. Because then you buy another one and another one and another one, because there is basically no limit for ordering custom models.
And this is again where the whole patience come in. If you can't find the model right now, don't immediately go for a custom model.
Yeah, of course.
Just wait a little bit and see if you can't find the model.
Because I think that's a great, and for me the main point of collecting is the search for it, because that's where the fun is. Because chasing for something you really want is just fun. So
yeah, no, true. I mean, how goes the saying? The journey is the goal, not the destination itself.
Yeah,
something like that. And I guess that works with collecting models as well. Joe, thank you very much for taking the time, talking a little bit about your amazing collection and how that has come about, and giving us a few strategies, actually.
I hope it helps.
No, for me, it was for sure enlightening, and I'm sure it will be useful for the audience as well. Of course, he has a really nice model account on Instagram. You can also find a link to that in the video description below, as well as a really, really cool spotter account from the real world with a lot of, I mean, not just rare models on the model account, but also really rare aircraft in real life there. So do check that out. Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so really interesting to hear the thoughts of Johannes. I really did enjoy talking with him about the topic of collecting. There's so many things that we perhaps don't always talk about, but that of course can be crucial in order for us to get our models. Sometimes we're lucky, sometimes not, but I think the overall message should always be patience. Patience is a virtue, and never rush into things. And everybody has started out somewhere. No one has started off with a massive collection, and it takes a lot of time and patience to one day have a big collection, if that is the goal. It doesn't have to be. It might also just be you want some specific models and you're happy with that, and that is great too. But once again, I would like to say thank you to Johannes for taking the time to record this podcast and have a little chat. Now, if you like this type of content, then of course leaving a like here would be very much appreciated, or hitting subscribe. And if you have a topic that you would like to see discussed, or you have a topic that you're burning for yourself that you would like to discuss here on the podcast and become a guest, then you can become that by simply commenting down below or leaving me an email. Now, with that, thanks so much for watching or listening, or both. See you soon. I'm checking out, and bye.